Charis Kai Irene. Grace and peace to you. My name is Abiut Sagaya and I'm teaching Biblical Greek. I have students in one of the seminaries in Ethiopia. So I help them go through the lessons. So what I do a video lesson every time or every week so that I help the students to go through the material. So this lesson is brought to you not as a full load course, but as a highlight. So these video lessons are not the full load of the study, but they are very helpful. Although they are very short, but they are very helpful. So anyone who wants to start his beginning Greek class, I hope he will find it helpful. So this is what I do every week. So I appreciate if you can go through the lesson and give me your feedback, your comments, and also don't hesitate to subscribe to this channel. Let's grow this channel so that people learn the Greek of the Bible, so that they will have the feel of the original language. So the Lord willing, we may keep adding lessons as we go forward, and I hope you will enjoy it. May the Lord bless you. Thank you once again. Charis Kai Irene. Grace and peace to you. Lesson 3, Greek verbs. Future indicative active forms. And this lesson, you are going to be introduced to the Greek verbs in their future indicative active forms. In our previous lesson, we have seen the present indicative active forms and noticed this, that we are dealing only with one of the moods, that is indicative, and one of the voices, active. We will come to the other features of the Greek verbs, but for now let's stay on the indicative form and the active voice. Let's talk about this concept and for a minute. Introduction here. Now at this point, it is important to introduce a four-room theory. Four-room theory. This is very helpful for you. You will see it in practice in the coming slides. This four-room theory, helps you study the Greek verb forms. And this theory was developed by Professor Samuel Ngewa. We are actually using his material. We're using his handbook throughout our course. It's not published yet, but he has developed or formulated a four-room theory to help students to master the different features of a given Greek verb. So the basic idea of the theory is that one of the easiest ways of mastering the Greek verb, it helps you master the Greek verb forms. When you use this four-room theory, it helps you to dissect the different parts of a given Greek verb. You remember by now, you should actually, we've already said, I have overstated that a Greek verb will have two main parts, the stem and the ending, but there are other elements to a given Greek verb. So the four-room theory will help you identify those elements. For example, there will be a prefix, there will be infix, and there will be a suffix, and each has their own function in you identifying the verb, especially in parsing. So this four-room theory, which is developed and crafted by Professor Samuel Ngewa, whose material we are using for this course, is very helpful. So once you master the four-room theory, it helps you master the forms of the Greek verbs. Now let's go and see how this theory works. Well, before we look at the four-room theory, let's say few things here for a minute. Two parts. You remember the two parts of a given Greek verb? That is the stem. For example, lou is a stem, phlei is a stem, agapa is a stem, phanero is a stem. So lou, o, if we attach an ending to it, and if we attach a prefix, we'll talk about it. It's called an augment, and we'll have a sign of tense here, and the verb changes, the form changes. That change, we said, is called conjugation. So these are the stems without ending and without any suffix or infix. Now the endings. We talked about the endings. The endings has to do with the personal endings. Here you have owu, omen, eis in the singular, first person, second person, third person, and then in the plural you have the omen, the ete, and the osin for the present indicative active. So the endings might change depending on the tense and depending on the mood and the voice. But for now, just stick to this concept, the two-part theory. Now, four-room theory. In the context of the four-room theory, we will refer to the stem as an occupant of room 2. We've said there will be 4 rooms, okay? Room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4. Very helpful. So each room will have its own occupant, but some rooms may not have the occupant depending on the form of the verb. So room 1 will be occupied by the stem, actually room 2, and then the ending, the main part of a given verb, will be an occupant of room 4. This will be true of all tenses and forms, because all tenses and all forms will have these two parts, the stem and the ending, but they may not have the suffix, the prefix, or the infix. For example, the present tense only has the stem and the ending. There will be no sign of tense, no prefix. So this is true for all the tenses, is to say that the stem and the ending is found in every tense, in every forms. Here, the practical example of the four-room theory. Look at the rooms. Can you see this table? Four-room theory. Here we have the singular form, and here we have the plural form. So we have the person here, the persons, first person, second person, third person. The room 1, like I said, will occupy occupied by a prefix, and room 2, and room 3, and room 4. Look at room 2 and room 4 are very crucial, very important, because any Greek verb throughout all forms, all tenses, will have the stem and the ending. May not be a prefix or a suffix, an infix, or the sign of tense for this matter, but focus on these ones. So this works for all the second and third person, in the plural, in the singular as well. So room 1, prefix, room 2, stem, room 3, sign of tense, room 4, ending. So instead of saying prefix, suffix, infix, we'll use the terminology augment, stem, sign of tense, and ending. Be familiar with this, or familiarize yourself with this four-room theory, which is very helpful for you. It's a tool. The future indicative active form of luo. Let's look at this example. By now, you should be friendly with this verb. It's a regular verb. luo. So the future indicative active form of luo, this is in the present tense. But now when we change it to the future tense, this is how it will look like. First person singular will look like this one, luceo. You see the sigma? It will have sigma as a sign of tense. So how I know this is a future? Because of the presence of the sigma as a sign of tense. It's telling me this tense is a future tense. Of course, I need to work on the stem and the ending. So I see there is an addition of the sigma, which indicates this is a future tense. Luceo, lusomen, luceis, lusote, lucei, lusosin. I will lose, we will lose. You will lose, you plural will lose. He, she, it will lose. They will lose. And the third person, both singular and plural. So in the next slide, we will see how the four-room theory works. So let's go to the next slide. Here, what we are going to do is just bring the stem into its room, and then sign of tense to its room, and the ending to its room. For now, in the present and the future tense, we don't have room 1. Room 1 is not occupied because we don't have any prefix here. Okay, here comes the four-room theory. Future indicative active form. So bear in mind that the endings of the future tense are the same as the endings of the present tense. The difference between the present and the future tense is the presence of the sign of tense in room 3 for the future tense. So room 1, like I said earlier, has no occupant because there is no prefix. Room 2 has the stem luo throughout, and room 3 has the sign of tense occupied by the sign of tense. For the future tense, the sigma is a sign of tense, so it is occupied. It occupies room 3, and room 4 is the stem. Like I said, room 4 has the endings of the present tense and the future tense are similar, the same. And the same for the plural section, like you see. So luceo, luceis, lucei, lusomen, lucete, lusosin. So in the future you will see when we have a form of tense that has room 1 or that has a prefix, the prefix will occupy room 1. So this is how the four-room theory works in practice. Now let's talk about these concepts, lengthening and contraction. So this is not a new concept. You've already been introduced to this in our previous lessons. So what you need to do is to go back and check and re-listen and replay the video and watch until you get the concept. But let's move on. Now lengthening. This is not a new concept, like I said. So lengthening with the verbs whose stem end in epsilon, for example, phile, phileo, the stem is phile, and the stem ends with an epsilon. The epsilon will lengthen to eta. That's the epsilon at the end of the stem. Usually lengthens to eta before sigmas. You see, why we talk about this is because we are going to deal with a future tense which has a sigma as a sign of tense. Then if we encounter any Greek verb that has its stem ending with an epsilon, the epsilon will be lengthened to eta before the addition of sigma, and whose stem ends with other vowels like alpha still becomes an eta. It will be lengthened to an eta. So epsilon and alpha will lengthen to eta. For example, we have agapao in the present tense, but when we are going to change this to a future tense, you see sigma as a sign of tense. Here is supposed to be alpha, but since we've talked about lengthening, before addition of sigma, alpha lengthens to eta, epsilon lengthens to eta, and then omicron lengthens to omega. So the rule is applied here. Agape cell, agape so, agape so. And here we have phanero, omicron. So we said omicron becomes omega, lengthens to the long vowel, omega. So we have phaneroso, phaneroso. Good. Now contraction. Now you are familiar with contraction. Verbs contract. Certain verbs contract. Now with verbs whose stem end in a mute, that is the three gutturals, the gamma, kappa, and c, the three labials, the beta, p, phi, and the three dentals, that is delta, tau, and theta. The following change takes place as this combined with the sigma in the future. So here is the rule. Okay, if any of the verbs has an ending with this consonants, when sigma is added to that ending of the stem, it will contract. So gamma, kappa, xi connected to sigma, they result in k, and beta, p, phi with sigma, ps, delta, tau, theta with sigma remains sigma. Now exercise 3a. Here an example. So in all your exercise, try to apply the rules. Here I have the rules for you. So this is an example for what you will do in the next slide as an assignment. So give the future indicative active form of the following verbs. Our verb here is dioko, I pursue. So it's in the present active indicative form. Now we need to change it to the future tense indicative active form. So look at how I did. So I just split the verb. What I did, I just removed the stem and put them in one side. Then I have added the sign of tense for the future tense, then their endings in the singular and plural first, second, third person. And the result, applying the rule, is this one. Doxeo, duoxeis, duoxei, duoxomen, duoxete, duoxosin. And the translation, you can see it here. So look at this example carefully and then attempt the next assignment, the next slide. Exercise 3a. It will have 4 marks. You give the future indicative active forms of the following verbs. Please follow the example in the previous slide. Your verbs are grapheo, I write, piteo, I persuade. So like I said, please follow the example in the previous slide. Exercise 3B, exercise 3B, an example. This is from 1 John chapter 5 verse 16. From I tell, I ask, I say, I say. So the answer, we are asked to purse. Okay, we are asked to purse. So pursing is you give the tense, you give the mood, you give the voice, you give the person, and you give the number. So if you are asked to purse, these are what you are going to give. What is the tense? What is the mood? What is the voice? What is the number? And what is the person? And what is the number? The answer here for this verb, as you can see, you see sign of tense here. So immediately what you need to do is, oh yeah, I can see sigma here. Okay, sigma here. It is a sign of tense for me, for the future tense. Oh, and I see the ending, which is similar to the present tense. I know that future also shares the same ending. Then what happened here? I see the form, the vocabulary form has I tell with an epsilon ending in the stem. But then I have the eta here. Remember the rule? Epsilon, alpha, as an ending for the stem, lengthens to eta before adding the sigma. So that's what happened here. So now I have done my analysis. So I'll just give the answer. So the answer is this verb is a future in the future tense, and the mood is in an indicative, and the voice is active, and the person is first person. It's a first person. The number is singular. Translation: he, she, it, asks, or he, she, it is asking. Exercise 3B. Now you will do this exercise and it will have 4 marks. What you are going to do is purse. Let me repeat it again. Purse. Give the tense, mood, voice, person, and number. And follow the example in the previous slide. So your verbs are these ones. So work through it following the example I have provided for you in the previous slide. Poieseis lalesomen. Poieseis from poieo, lalesomen from laleo. Now we have come to the end of lesson 3. Please watch the video repeatedly until you are familiar with the concept. Our next lesson will be lesson 4, and we will be introduced to another tense, that is the aorist tense. So far we have seen 2 tenses, so we will add the other tense until we finish the 6 Greek tenses. So thank you for watching. See you next week. For now, bye-bye.